I just I just fed him, but this one's pretty active. It does move around a lot compared to some of the other ones. So this one, yeah, it's getting its exercise. I usually take it. I haven't took this one out for a walk because I don't know how they react just yet. Because every mantis is a little bit different. Because you don't want to lose it. Yeah, 400 to 600. Yeah. But a lot of them die. For multiple reasons, because you could put, like, not a lot of them, but a few of them die. You can have them in the best condition, like you give them all the food, all the water, everything it needs, and it still dies. Some that happens all the time, but the majority of them do live, and those are the ones you release. I do not have, as of yet, the capacity. No, this one does not have a name as of yet. I came back and it did shed and get a little bit bigger, but this one does not have a name yet. Um, so, I mean, if you guys have any suggestions for the name, just let me know. But also put your comments about, what do you call it? Hey, what's up? About Big Brother, because I do want to talk about tonight's episode. And I know some people haven't seen it. What is that? This is my praying mantis. This one doesn't have a name yet. Hey, dude, what's up? Manny? You think Manny would work? That's not a bad name. What's up, La, and what, Kudin? I don't know how to pronounce that name. I don't want to say something wrong. Um, what is it? A story behind my rings? There's nothing. There's no like big story to it. I never owned rings for like most of my life, and I do like rings. Nothing too big. But this one, oh, there you go. This one is Love Over Fear. I got asked about this one a lot in the Big Brother house, and then this one is Seek Discomfort. So those are just the rings, and the reason why I have them on this hand is because simply they can kind of fit in this one, but this one sometimes slides off, especially if I'm like throwing stuff. So I put in the middle one because it doesn't fall off as much, and the thumb, well, I'm always bending it so it doesn't fall off. So it's on these two fingers specifically so that it doesn't come off my hand. Um, my thoughts on Zach not using his power. I mean, I feel like I understand if he wants to keep the 10K and doesn't want to give it to Ava, especially if he's blindsided. But he did say that he didn't want to use it because he didn't want Morgan going up there. I don't know if I 100% believe that, like entirely, because I don't know. I don't know if I believe that entirely. What is the ups? But I mean, I keep seeing him in the live feeds. He's like, it's just a game. It's whatever's gonna happen. I'm like, bro, are you not here to win, or are you just here for like a good time? Because I'm like, I was here to win, So I understand that's not everyone would use the power, but if he somehow, I don't know if he's gonna survive a vote against Vince. I really don't know because the house just flip flops so much that what do you call it? Hey, look at this guy. Hey, okay, I got you. It flip flops so much. I have zero idea which way the house is gonna vote come eviction night. But I'm just hoping Keanu stays is like my biggest hope. Let me check the questions here. All right. Let's start. Do. Hold on. I hear the live feeds. Sorry.
Don't stress out. If you need some sort of comfort to do better.
All right. Who is your number one if you got far in the game? That's a good question. It depends who lasts with me because like your number one can easily go home. So ideally it was supposed to be Zach because I wanted to work with competitors, people that can win if they needed to, because that's an important aspect to winning the game. And Zach would also, I was a shield to him, but he would also be a shield to me. And I was just hoping that I could outlast them if it was us two and someone would take a shot at him over me. So that was the ideal plan. But of course I didn't get that far. Which is crazy to me. But Kelly, as of week 3, she was probably the only person that was like 100% loyal. to me. So even though her gameplay was interesting, it would have probably been Kelly if she stayed long enough because she's. But I also know that if one of us did leave, it would help each other's game because we would become like less of a target rather than more of like because we were kind of being seen as like a duo kind of. So and plus we were kind of like on the outs a bit. So it wasn't helping either our games that we were both in the house together. But ideally, I would have wanted to stay so that because I felt like a competition, an HOH competition was coming up where I would win. Sorry, I'm playing with my mantis right here, and it keeps wanting to climb. I could put it away, but hold on. Let me give me a second. What's up? So yeah, this is my mantis. It doesn't have a name yet. This particular one does not. Kelly's target has literally disappeared after this week. I don't think so. I think there is still a huge target, mostly because the house is so afraid of targeting each side because the house is not like one clear divide. It's a bunch of small groups trying to take a shot at each other without getting the other like a particular group upset. So I could see easily Kelly and Keanu going back up again, especially if Keanu survives this week as easy noms because people are too scared to take a shot at the side that they don't want to win, which I find incredibly crazy. No, I have not read Taryn's book yet. Okay. Do I think Catherine should have used the veto? No. I for her particular game, I don't really see a huge benefit in really doing it. I know she's not really a big fan of Zach's because she's not like working close with him. Nor is she working close with Vinny or Keanu. So it doesn't really make sense to save him unless you wanted to like get like good favor, like being like the good graces of Zach, Vince, or Keanu, whoever she would use it on. But the problem is that could ruffle some feathers. Like, why did you use the veto if you didn't have to? Riley could potentially go up, or the fact that she could what do you call it? Or like some people, if she took down like Keanu, she's like, oh, you're working with Keanu, and that can make her a bigger target. So I think the safest bet for her game is to not use the veto. So that's what I think about her. Let me put this mantis away. They keep wanting to move. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm putting the guy away. All right. Let's talk Big Brother here. Okay. Let's get down to the questions. Sorry, it's been a while. Okay, so. Okay. Favorite meal I ate in the BB house besides PB&J? I mean, you can't beat PB&J, man. I don't know. You can't beat PB&J. Fudge, best meal in the house. Maybe the pasta? I don't really know. PB&J was like the go-to, and it still is. Okay. Did everyone really not like Keanu? I feel like he's a favorite for America. When it comes to Keanu, I feel that the house isn't too fond of him for two reasons. One, he kind of outed himself when he said, I'm going to pick you off one by one. But also he like walks in every room. He interrupts conversations often. Like a little bit too often, and people are just get annoyed with that, but that's kind of part of the game. And two, he's a huge threat, right? You know, he keeps winning competitions. He looks like a physical threat. He is a physical threat. So when you add those two things together, that the house guests are annoyed with him and he's a threat, people just don't want him around, and the fact that he's still around, I'm assuming it just annoys the people in the house guests. Because that's like the main target for everybody, and people are okay with that because yes, one, he's a threat, and two, is he easy nom. So people, and remember, these people in the house are still kind of scared, so they don't want to like ruffle any feathers. So Keanu is like a perfect gift wrapped up for them to put up on the block. Okay, let's answer the ones that have the most likes right here. So let's delete this one since I already answered that one. Um, who do you want to win this season and who do you want to lose? Um, I this is my order. My order is any of this is subject to change, but my order at the moment is Kelly, Keanu, um, maybe Catherine is like maybe even to Keanu, maybe a little bit less, and then it's probably Ava then Will. After that, so it's probably my order. Would be for it's not like, and that's just based off like my relationships to them in from inside the house, without much outside influence from the outside world. So that's just my preference, but you know it's always subject to change. All right. No, I don't think Catherine not using the veto was a mistake. I think for her she made the right call. It's the safest thing. There's really no point for her to use it unless she wanted to like gain good favor. But she's already being targeted. I can't imagine her using it. And like yeah, especially if she uses it on Keanu, that would definitely put a kind of a target on her back. If she used Zach, I don't think Zach would still have her in her best interest. I feel like Zach would put her up as like maybe a possible replacement nominee. So I don't think it would buy that much favor with Zach because at the end of the day you have to put up the people at one point or another. And then if she took out Vince, there's not much benefit for her using it. So I don't think Catherine not using the veto was against her best interest. I don't think that was a mistake on her end. How do I tell the mantises apart? They're in separate cages. It's really hard. You could like probably notice some color changes, the size, and try to indicate how different they are, but you just keep them in separate cages and you don't mix them up. Especially since mantises will eat each other, especially if they're hungry. So you don't keep mantises in the same habitat. You want to separate them because they will eat each other. You could keep them well fed, but at times that if there's a lot in a confined space, they're gonna fight and they're gonna eat each other. So yeah, you don't want to put them too close together. Why is this not speaking, huh?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen emoji.
Sorry, I'm watching live feeds at the same time. Oh, would I do Survivor? I wouldn't mind it. I mean, if they, I don't know. I would do Survivor. I wouldn't mind it. Okay, next question. Okay, I already answered that one. Let's see. What surprised me when I went back and watched the episodes after I got evicted? What surprised me? Probably just the Riley vote first week. Because it's hard to tell because Keanu really does lie, and it's not a big deal to lie in the Big Brother house, but he just does it oh so often, and then he acts like it's not a big deal. It's also one of the reasons why people don't like him is because he lies like a little bit too much, and then he acts like you're cool the next day. So it's hard to tell like if you could trust Keanu or not. So Keanu is not like someone you could trust, not someone that is always like in walking in rooms when people are having conversations. So it's like when you add those two things, the house really, that's why the house probably has a huge bad vibe against Keanu. And then if you, from Keanu's perspective, you know, he keeps getting put up on the block. Being on the block, fighting for your life is very stressful. It impacts you a lot. And I mean, if you're watching live feeds, you see it. You see Vince, you know, freaking out. You see Zach get upset, which is insane to me because I literally heard them. Vince says, "Man, I want to work with players." I was right there, man. I was right there. I heard Zach say too. I don't know if he's talking to Morgan or Lauren, and he was like, "Man, why are people tiptoeing?" I quote this. Why are people tiptoeing around the line? People just need to draw it and draw it thick. Are you kidding me, bro? I was ready to draw that line before I even walked out the door. It was hilarious. And then I heard Lauren say the same, or she said, "You know what? I'm not gonna play scared again." Where was that before I walked out of the house, bro? Where was that, man? Things should have been way different. I kid you not. But you know, let's move on. Let's see who. What was the first reaction the way BB betrayed me. Honestly, there wasn't a huge reaction. I was just more surprised that like they didn't go into like super detail of why I was getting put up on the block. I mean, I feel like the live feeders kind of have a way better idea, but the show is way different from the live feeds, and like that is public knowledge. Everybody knows that. So I feel like if you watch live feeds, you understand like why I was put up on the block, and why I was evicted. But I mean, other than that, I don't know. I was in the house, so I couldn't tell how much of the live feeds were shown and what was shown, and who knows what. So I feel the live feeders have a better sense of why I got put up. And I feel like those people know how it was. Now you guys are asking funny questions. We're supposed to talk about tonight's episode. What's up with that? What's up with that? What do I think I would have done differently? I would have not thrown the first HOH. It's kind of hard to prove that because that first HOH wasn't live. But I will say this. I mean, if any house guests exit the interview and they talk, they're the only people that can really back up my story, because what was portrayed is a little bit different from what actually happened. Because I looked way too good the first few seconds of the first HOH, and I was like, hold on, I look way too good. I need to slow my roll. So I should not have done the HOH, and knowing that I was safe the first week, I should have really prioritized more socially. But staying up, but everyone was staying up so much, and everyone was playing too hard right off the gate, and it was coming off cross a bad with some people. But at the end of the day, no one was really loyal to anybody at the end of the day. And like, social game could always be improved as the season goes on, as long as you could survive whatever gets thrown at you. Like, Kelly probably doesn't have, her social game isn't the best. Not that mine was, but the fact that she's still in the game because she won when she needed to. That's like rule number, what rule is that? Rule number 3. But rule number 2 is always have a bigger target than you. And when she was on the block, there was Jimmy. The one time she didn't win, she had a bigger target on the block on eviction night, and therefore she survives another round. She's gonna survive this week. So anyone could really go far as long as you could survive the BS, is what I call it. Let's see. What do you think the following HOHs Mickey and Ava would have nominated if you have survived week 3? Well, first off, it would have been way different. I don't know about Ava. If she would have won, most likely she'd probably still win or get close to winning in this HOH. But when it came to Mickey's HOH, Riley won that comp. I was confident that I could win that comp, or if Riley did beat me in that comp, because me being in the house would have changed everything. Because like who gets picked, who gets paired with what would have been way different. Because like that, one small thing could it could change the whole outcome of everything. But say if Riley did somehow still win that competition, I would, and Mickey used her power, I would have convinced Riley that Mickey had the power, because I had pretty compelling evidence that Mickey had the power. I knew it week 2. I mentioned it to him week 2 very briefly, not too much. Because me and Riley weren't like super close, but we're still building up that trust. And by week 3 or week 4, when that HOH happened, I could easily have convinced them who was lying to him and how I knew Mickey had the power. So I think that HOH would have been entirely different, because Riley, I knew he wouldn't be afraid to take the shots he needed to take. And I know those shots that he would take would have been the people that were campaigning against me or wanted me out. So, next question. Let's see. We're supposed to about tonight's episode. What happened tonight? I don't know. Okay. Which house guest do you need gone right now? All I know is I want Keanu to stay. I don't really know if I prefer Vince or Zach to go home this week. I really don't know. I feel like they're both equal. They have like their pros and cons, and I don't really want to say anything bad about them. But I mean, I think it depends, because I think it depends from like your point, like from your point of view, right? So like my top contender I want to win is Kelly. So from that standpoint, it's best that Zach goes home for Kelly's sake, right? Because Vince is probably a little bit better for Kelly's game. And yeah, I mean, if you look at it from that point of view, but I don't know. I just know that I want Keanu to stay in that darn house. Okay, Vince and Zach. It would be interesting because if one of them does leave coming tomorrow on eviction night, I want to know what the flip happened. I have a good idea what happened, but I want to know. Vince is so fake to Kelly. Well, I mean, there's no loyalty in that house. I mean, I swear. I mean, I tried warning Kelly. I tried warning Lauren. I tried warning Zach that his hand, like Ava said, his hand is in so many pots. It's crazy. It was obvious to me, but I mean, you couldn't really take that shot because you had bigger fish to fry. But I mean, it stinks because I heard the other day, I watched on the lives, that Mickey was telling Zach says the only thing that's been holding me back to working with Mickey with her was that I mentioned that she threw Zach's name under the bus, and he asked, "Tell me the truth, did that really happen?" And she didn't even answer, "No, that didn't happen." She said, "Well, I'm pretty honest, and I can't lie, and I'll tell you this, that he brought it up like this, that Zach's 10K matter." And I just said, "No, I don't think so." And yeah, we talked about it, but it was nothing bad, and Adrian brought it up. I understand Mickey is doing what she needs to do to win, but from Zach's sake, I had Zach's back. I told him nothing but the truth. I gave him the most honest information I could. I was trying to prove my loyalty to get him to want me in the house, and he fought for the majority of it, but he was too scared to ruffle any feathers to completely draw that line in the sand. But I know he wanted me in the house. With that being said, I guarantee you Mickey did throw Zach's name under the bus, and she said, and I quote, I don't know if this ever made it to the lives, but she said, Zach already has a 10K, he's fine, and if he gets voted out, he probably get signed to a model agency. So he's going to be fine. And I was like, oh, okay. And I told Zach that because, hey, Zach was supposed to be my number one guy. I told him that. And I told him that this is what Mickey told me, because if Zach hears my name, he tells me. If I hear his name, I tell him. So we keep each other informed, so we know who to trust and who not to. And that's why I think he wanted me, because I proved nothing but loyalty, and I had his back, and I was a shield to him. I think the most appealing part was I was a shield to him. So that was it. Let's see. I'm talking about, let's see. And how did that work out for me? Not too well. I mean, Zach's loyalty, he said he didn't want to get in the showmans. He said, no girls. And then, I think he wanted, he was going to do anything for Lauren, just for that potential showmance. It's crazy because I think Ava was so torn up. I think she actually wanted to switch her vote, but she was looking at Vince and Zach. I was sitting on those chairs, and she was looking at Vince and Zach. And Zach, I remember seeing him, he's doing this, staring at Ava, saying no. I think Ava wanted to vote with me, and that would have been the 7 to win. But Zach and Vince were already on board to saying no. Because I think I did get to Ava that last little word the last little sentence I whispered in her ear when I lost the blockbuster. And I think she was genuinely torn, and she wanted to, for a split second, potentially save me. But since Zach was already on board to protect Lauren, I believe at the current moment that is why, because he didn't want Lauren to draw that line. He didn't want him to draw that line. And Vince, I guess, he didn't want to be on that sinking ship if he knew the votes weren't there. The votes totally could have been there, but like I said, this whole house is unloyal, and that's just how it is. They're all trying to play it safe. I can't blame any of them. It's not a bad strategy, but when everyone's doing it, I mean, hey. Like I said, you can't really, I don't know if I could really hate the player. You gotta hate the game, but I can't hate the game, you know what I mean? I love the game. Let's see. Do I think there could be a twin twist or something like that? At this point, no. I don't think there's a twin twist. It would have been like, I feel like it would have been revealed by now if it was. I did talk to Ava after the blockbuster, and I think that was like the nail in the coffin that like really made it hard for her, because she knew that she was that one vote that I needed to not break the tie or like win the tie in my favor. If not, if I had Zach and Vince, we could easily broke the tie. But I said she could easily make it a win. Like we could easily be the majority. And I think I convinced her last second, but when she looked at Vince and Zach, they're already on board and didn't want to change it. So that's why Zach was shaking his head no to Ava. Like he's not gonna vote that way. So there's that. So was my opinion on Ashley trying to change her vote. I thought it was hilarious. Will's reaction was the best. He was like, oh, and he's walking back. That was hilarious. Will was like, oh my gosh, I love Will so much. He's hilarious. He's funny, and his reactions are like the best. So it was great. I mean, it was funny as flip. I just said. What's my favorite color? Probably purple or yellow. It's probably one of my favorite two colors. I can't tell. Maybe yellow, but sometimes purple. I don't know. They're really good. Both really good colors. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. There's a lot of questions. Do I have a romantic partner? No, I do not. What is the next? How I feel about Ashley? What about Ashley? I mean, she's great. Bread loaf for they win? Yes, bread loaf for the win. If that's what you're trying to say, yes, bread loaf for the win. For sure. How do I feel about Morgan being a renom if Zach used his power? I mean, I don't think it's like that big of a deal. I think if Morgan was up there, I think there's a bigger chance Keanu goes home. So, like say if Zach pulled himself off and Morgan went up, I feel like it was a higher chance that Vince or Keanu went home. Because I feel like Morgan would have stayed. Either way, I would think. But who flipping knows? I mean, the house changes their mind every day, every hour, maybe even every minute. So that is what they showed on the episode, why Zach and Vince flipped. I feel like, I don't think it could be like tied down to one single thing. I think there's a bunch of small influences, but I think that might be a big misstep, voting me out, because like I said, I was loyal, honest. I told them I would take the shot. I wasn't afraid to take that shot. Now that they both are on the block, I have seen them on live feeds all the time saying they're willing to take that, or at least Zach wants to draw that line. Vince, like at this point, it's different when you're not on the block. They're like, oh, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. But as soon as you get put on the block, it's real easy for people to like, oh shoot, I'm being targeted. I actually have to win now. Because I know Vince most likely was throwing the few HOHs, like the one Lauren won. I'm pretty sure he threw that HOH because he did not want to win it. He felt like he was in a good spot because he talked to everybody. So I knew that he was throwing that HOH. And then Zach, I knew he felt like he was in a good spot, so he didn't want to win HOH unless he needed to. So I felt that if it came to me, it was really only left to me to win in order to take that shot, because I knew none of my allies would take that shot, or the ones that are willing to take a shot aren't as likely to win the competitions as I was. So that's why I wanted to work with competitors going into the game so that we could dominate the game. But the only problem is everyone was so scared to make a move to take a shot at the other side that they didn't want to win. And it just left people that you didn't want to win in power. So that it depends. And the ideal thing is when things like that happen, you want to be able to win when you need to. That's why I train so hard for the comps that are so familiar in the game. I try to study the best strategies because competitions aren't everything in Big Brother. I just train them so it gives me maybe a slight edge when it comes to like the most iconic competitions, like the wall, like the prizes and punishments. There's not really much technique there. There is a small bit of strategy, but like the dice game, the stacking game, there's a OTEV. There's a strategy for OTEV, but it's not like a big game changer. It just kind of helps like long term. Like if you collect if you collect all the answers and put them in the huddle. But the only thing is it's high risk, high reward, because like you're sacrificing a lot of the time, and as you're collecting the piece, it could bite you in the butt because you take too long getting all the pieces together, or someone else finds the pile. So that's like a strategy, and I think it's not the worst one, and it could work long term, but it's only depends. Like if everyone finds their answer like that, and you need a run, and you're too busy trying to like collect piles, because that has happened in the past where they're trying to collect it and someone beat them to the top. So it's kind of hard because it's a strategy that could pay off. It just depends who you're playing with. If you know you're not playing with like people that you don't think could win that competition or don't have like good coordination, maybe you could outbeat them in the physical aspect of OTEF. That's a good question. What are my thoughts on Jimmy's eviction on Mickey's HOH? Is it a bad move? I know a lot of people say it's a bad move. I don't know if it's necessarily a bad move nor a good one. It's a maybe move, because yes, it's a bit of a resume. Yeah, it's a bit of a resume builder, and the fact that Jimmy, he says he was loyal to the Triple Threat Alliance, and I believe that. But also, I feel like if it ever did come down to it and Triple Threat was put on the block and not him, I could easily see him voting with the house, with Rachel, to like not be against the house. I feel like Jimmy is a good player, and I feel like he would have done what he needed to do to win. And I feel like that would be voting with the house. And when it came down to it, who would have knows? I don't think it was the worst move. I don't think it was the best move. I think it's a move that could potentially pay off in the long run. If we just have to see, because it always depends who's in power. Because if the one side keeps winning the power, then they're gonna steamroll, right? But if once each little group wins at a time, then it makes for a chaotic game. But I think it just depends who wins HOH. But I don't think Mickey putting up Jimmy and him getting evicted is not the worst move. Is it the best move? I don't think so, but it wasn't a bad move. I'll say that. Because it could pay off in the long run. Let's see. Vince played all sides like Paul from season 19, but he just got caught too early. I don't know if he's like Paul, because Paul, yes, he was playing all sides, but he was more controlling the votes. Like Paul had a lot more influence on the house guests than Vince does. That's the only difference, I would say, because Cody caught on to it. Everyone was kind of flocking to Paul because they wanted to work with Paul. Kind of like Rachel this season, but except people wanted to kind of not work with Rachel. They wanted to get a bit of her insight, but people just were kind of like I feel like we're trying to use Rachel as a shield, as a number, rather than like as a true ally. Like Jimmy, I believe he really saw Rachel as an ally because they were. But the only problem is the whole house doesn't like see it that way, I don't think. Like people were just using her as a shield because they believe that she wasn't going to win the game, believes that they also remember the house is scared. They didn't want to take that shot because Rachel is not someone that you want to initially nominate. Rachel is easily a backdoor person, is a person that you want to backdoor because they're going to be mad the whole week if you put them up prior to if you put them up on nomination day. So you want to do it, you want to win the veto, take someone off and put her up. That is like your ideal scenario, but you also want to make sure you have the numbers. The hard part about this season is since there isn't one majority alliance, but rather small micro alliances, if you will, it's hard to control the votes. That's why I think the votes are so split so often, because if the bonds stick together, if the heavies hitters stick together, they could easily have ran the votes, but they didn't. The bond put people up on their whole alliance. Lauren put literally everybody that she was working with up. The person that she wasn't closest with that was on the block was probably Will, then Keanu, and then me, then Kelly. It was probably low. But then and then Mickey puts up Jimmy, someone that was loyal to her. So it's like people are putting up their own alliance members. It makes no sense. They're just so scared. Yeah. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Who was I closest to in the house? I was probably closest to Kelly, because Kelly, we tried separating ourselves because we were getting the bigger target, especially Kelly instigating pretty early on, and she played pretty hard early, and it drew a target on her back. But I tried not to stay in the same room as everybody, because Vince, Morgan, and Zach, they always stayed up late every night, and it was so obvious that they were a duo. You see Mickey and Morgan together all the time. You see Jimmy and Rachel together all the time. And it was so obvious who was working together and who wasn't, that I didn't want people to be able to see who I was truly working with, right? So I had the Willpower Alliance, which was Zach and Will, but that kind of went out the window when me and Will got put up on the block, because the block really divides alliances. And that's why I really wanted to take a shot at the other side, simply because now they have to campaign against each other. They're going to want to fight for their lives. They're going to want to secure their votes. And now they can't rely on their allies for the votes, because their allies are on the block with them. So there's that. Versus when me and Will did that, what game am I supposed to talk about Will? Because right now I'm focusing on saving my game and vice versa. So there was that. So it was, I forgot the original question was. Anyways, who was my favorite player last season? Probably Tucker, because he made it interesting. After that, probably Quinn. And then next would be Chelsea, or Chelsea and Quinn are probably equal. Chelsea did play a pretty good game. So there was that. Let's see. You think Morgan would be good to take the final two because I don't see the jury going her way? I find that a little bit hard, because it just depends who's on jury, because everything changes in a heartbeat, and it depends what her resume is. If she really had that much influence like she does in the live feeds, like being in Mickey's ear, being in Lauren's ear, being in Jimmy's ear, probably not Jimmy. Jimmy did what he wanted. It's hard. I think out of everybody, the most loyal is probably Morgan to Rachel and Zach. Even though, yes, she lies and kind of is turning, she turned on Mickey a bit pretty often, I feel like she's kind of the most loyal-ish. Again, there's no loyalty in that house, but if there was somebody other than Riley to Catherine, that's probably the most loyal that you could find in the house, but it's not a loyalty that you can really get. I don't think there's anyone in the game other than Catherine that could go up to Riley and be like, hey, final two. I don't think that's going to happen with Riley. So, do I have Twitter or Blue Sky? I do not, but I'm thinking of getting Blue Sky. I heard it's good. People want me on there, so I'm thinking about it. My thoughts on Keanu, Rachel, and Kelly becoming a trio. I don't know if it's real. I really don't know if it's real. I see each and every one of them jumping ship. And if I feel like Kelly might be the one that might do it, because they're all going to come up to each other and be like, hey, we should work together. That happens all the time. Every single time. When the bond was formed, I'm like, yo, dude, like, I don't talk much game with Lauren. Like, Will doesn't talk much game with Lauren. Vince hardly talks to Ava and Will. And I'm like, what is this group? Like, I feel like it could work because Lauren did want to get the whole bond together. But the thing is, Keanu went upstairs, kind of crashed the party. And then also, Zach would not leave Lauren in the hammock alone. Like, he was going to be there. He didn't want to come up to talk to the Alliance. He was too busy talking to Morgan. This was like, what, I was week 3. So I was like, the bond just never made because it's hard for big groups to meet. They meet one time, say, hey, we're going to be an alliance. And then once they break apart, they never come back together. I don't know why, but this house is so scared to lock a door in the HOH room. They don't want to be seen in a huge group. So that's why I think there's a lot of small groups. But man, I tell you, on my week, my eviction, let me tell you, bro, it was like clockwork. They came in and out of Lauren's HOH, and the only person that was really advocating, Vince and Zach did advocate for me, but they didn't push hard enough. Like Zach just said, I want Adrian. Vince was like, I want Ashley, but you do what you want. And it seemed like Lauren really wanted that reinsurance. Like, she was basically asking someone what to do, and she wanted her closest allies, Vince and Zach, to tell her what to do. But I think Vince and Zach didn't want to tell her what to do in fear that it would be, the blame would be put on them later for doing so. So I think at that moment, Zach and Vince had influence over Lauren, but they didn't use that influence to their advantage to put up Ashley, which would have been a number. I wouldn't have been put up guaranteed. I would have been another ally on their side, and they would take down someone that was going to put them up. Like, Ashley wanted to put Vince up because Vince put Ashley up the first week. So Vince already knows Ashley is gunning for Vince because Vince put her up the first week. So what's up? It's getting pretty late. I did want to talk about the episode. We didn't talk much about the episode. I've been answering all these questions. But I mean, I appreciate you guys staying up. I mean, you guys don't have to stay up, but the only reason why I do it this late is because everyone saw the episode from last night. So I wanted to I wanted people to watch the episode so we could talk about the episode, because I understand not everyone gets to see it that fast. So I was like, but I want to talk about the episode. I'm excited to see who's coming home tomorrow. Who is going to be evicted tomorrow? That is the question. I'm just hoping Keanu pulls this blockbuster off. He takes himself off, and we're going to get a bit of a show. I want to see who's drawing that line. Who's going to kick Vince or Zach out? I want to see. Is it going to be a clear divide? Is it? No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be a split vote. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a unanimous vote at all. Yes, it did. Yeah, Zach might be the likely person to go home if it's Vince and Zach. Which is best for Kelly's game, not best for Lauren's game. Because I don't know, Lauren seems to be really, say, hey, Vince is my number one. But I literally told her to her face, Vince stays up all night with Zach and Morgan. And she feels that Vince is her truly final two. I mean, I guess I thought the same thing with Zach because it did early on. But, I told her that, how he's not naming names. The only name he put out was, Ashley. And that's because that was for his benefit. Bro. Oh, my gosh. Anyways. Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see how these people play. But the fact that there are so many small groups of alliances, not one majority, it's anyone's game. Anyone, I don't know if you know the term. I think it's called third party. I usually know it from gaming, where it's two people battle at each other, and then once one person takes out the other team, the last team standing is weakened. So the person in the third parties and takes out the final team, and they're the ones winning. So I think it's anyone's game. It just depends who wins HOH and takes that shot first. And that's what I wanted to do if I stayed in the house. I wasn't afraid to take a shot. Especially at Rachel, because even though I think she has I don't know if how much influence she really has in the game, but she is really good at planting seeds and putting like ideas in people's heads. Mostly, and people are kind of okay with that because she's not anyone's like number one target. She's starting to become people's number one target in the house. But we'll see how that plays out because targets literally change every week. I missed myself on this show too. I wish I was there. Trust me, I wish I was there. So you heard if it's Keanu and Zach, Keanu goes. Interesting. Vince versus Zach, Vince goes. Interesting. Zach versus Keanu. Zach goes. I thought you just said Vince, Keanu. What? I don't know who's going to leave. I mean, let's see. Rachel doesn't have much influence in the house because she failed to keep Amy and Jimmy. That's what I'm saying. So, like, the way I define it, there's, like, 3 categories, right? The social, the strategic, and the physical, right? The social is who you have influence over. The strategic is how you use that influence. And 3 is the physical, the ability to win when you need to, right? If you're able to win a comp or not. And Rachel, I feel like Vince and Zach definitely had a social game, but their strategic game wasn't there when Lauren's HOH. They had the influence over Lauren. They just didn't use that influence to their advantage. They could have kept me a loyal ally and put up someone that was going to target them. That could have easily been done if they had just pushed a little bit harder to Lauren, because Lauren was definitely looking for that reinsurance from her closest allies. But they just didn't push that hard because they didn't want to be seen as the ones influencing Lauren to do what the HOH was. But Mickey, Rachel, Morgan, they weren't afraid to try to influence as hard as they did. Because like I said, I was campaigning hard for myself. But the fact that as soon I go in the room one time, but then everyone else takes their turn to go in that room, I was like campaigning against 4v1. Like, bro, I mean, I can't go in Lauren's room, HRH room, after every single conversation. That's a bad look. Like, I'm paranoid, I'm playing too hard, and that's an easy reason to put me up. So my best bet was to like try. I was hoping Zach and Vince were trying a little bit harder. They were trying, but probably not as hard as they could have to make sure I didn't even touch the block so that they didn't have to break that vote. But I think I think when it came to Vince and Zach's game, I think that was a huge misstep, not using their influence over Lauren to get Ashley to get put up. I know Lauren wanted to keep me, but she was so scared of the other people that weren't going to have her back, just so that she wasn't targeted in the short term. I told her it's not good long or short term. I mean, maybe short term, but long term, it didn't make sense. It really didn't make sense. I'm telling you, that one move could have changed the entire game. We could have ran that game. And then the fact that Riley or I could have won the next HOH would have put us in power. We would have took a shot again at the other side. And then we would become the dominant alliance. And then people would flee to our side, want to be in our good graces. That's how the game works, but they were so scared to make a move against the other side that's just what happens. I mean, things happen. Things happen. Like a lot of winners were nominated early game. Jag, winner of season 25, he was evicted 10-0, but he was saved by a power, and he came back and won the game. So, if there's any doubters that said if I had stayed that week, if I would have been gone next week, I doubt it, because I think I could have pulled something through, especially knowing that the next HOH was balance beams. I would have killed it. If not, Riley would have killed it, and I would have never let Mickey use her power because I knew exactly who it was, and I wouldn't have let Riley fall for it. And then we would have took the shots at the people we needed to. But hey, I mean, that's the game. So, I mean, I really love it. I wish things turned out a little bit differently. I would have loved to show people what I got, especially with the most iconic comps. But, that's just how the game works. I can't hate the players. I got to hate the game, but I can't hate the game, like I said. Love the game. When is the next stream? The next live is probably going to be tomorrow. I want to talk because I want to do these lives to talk about the episodes, but the problem is Not everyone gets to see the episodes as fast, especially like right when they come out. Maybe they're busy, maybe they're at work. So I usually, that's why I do these things a little late, because people work and people haven't seen it yet. So, but we haven't talked much. I feel like we've been talking more about the past, but I mean, it's good to talk game. I love talking game. But because I can't talk about it in the house anymore, so. But look, I'm watching live feeds now. Who's that? Mickey and Ava in the HOH room. But yeah, if I had won, I would have known it's Mickey. Like, you couldn't have convinced me otherwise. I had very compelling evidence that it was her. I mean, you could have convinced me. Kelly knew I had I knew it. I literally shared it on my story that she says Adrian would have won the HOH competition, or if Riley had won, I would have convinced Riley. And I 10,000% agree. I would have done that. And Mickey's power would have been useless, and we would have took the shots that we needed to win the game. So, yeah. About the punishments about tonight's episode, I thought it was funny, man. I would probably love the egg one. It's probably the best punishment. I think that's like one of the coolest outfits. It looks so fun. Like, I know that probably hurts Vince's shoulders, that egg outfit, but it looks so fun just to get in the ball and then come out. Like, that looks freaking fire, bro. The butler punishment seems so annoying to make food every single time. Like, I heard it took him like 30 minutes to make. Every time he has to make it, it takes freaking 30 minutes. So, and then the one with Rachel and Zach, that seemed pretty annoying. But honestly, I probably wouldn't take the first 5 bags on top of that pile. I probably would have like dug deep and just took like the bottom ones, assuming the bottom ones are probably most likely the real ones. Other than that, because yeah, that seemed pretty brutal. So yeah, I think the best one was probably the egg detective or whatever the one Vince got. I think that was so good. Keanu was loyal, but the only thing is, he threw people's name under the bus and he lied a few times, so it rubbed people the wrong way a lot. So that's why the public, like the perception of Keanu from inside the house is so different from outside, because you guys see like something totally different. Like, we see Keanu go in every room. Every time I try playing chess and talk game with people, Keanu would want to come up and talk game. He would follow Ava around. He would like interrupt conversations, and that's part of the game. We all live in the same house, so he can totally do that. But it just rubbed people the wrong way, and the fact that sometimes he lied often, or like you tell him a secret and he goes tell someone else, and it was just a bad look. And I think Keanu could kill it, like this game, if he could. I think he's improving the social game a little bit, but I mean, like I said, you could always improve like your social game, your physical, mental game as the game goes on. You don't have to be a perfect Big Brother player to win this game. But the fact that Keanu could save himself, that's something that is vital to something that like winners need. Hey Angela, what's up? What is up? It's super late for me. But yeah, we're just talking game and tonight's episode. Yeah, I didn't want Keanu campaigning for me, because that's one of the reasons why Lauren didn't want to put Ashley up, because people felt that, hey, what's up? What do you call it? Yeah, because it would have been a bad look, because Keanu was a huge target. Kelly was a huge target inside the house, and the fact that I was already being associated with them, that's why I was trying to distance myself from Kelly and Keanu, because they were putting a huge target on my back, let alone that I did come off as a good competitor, because I kept getting second in every competition. Like I said, it's kind of hard to see in the first episode, but that first HOH, I had like 2 of my things on. I had 2 of my little balance beams on so fast. Everyone was like, dude, he's going to win the game, or like he's going to win the HOH. So I had to cool it. But, in the show, it made it look like we're like neck and neck. But really, I was ahead of everybody, and I had to like take my time. And you could kind of see it when Vince started to get it, that you could like see on the actual show, like I'm just kind of waiting for him to like finish the HOH. So yeah, it wasn't a good look that I looked really good in competitions, and they thought that if there was someone to take out Kelly, it would be me. And plus I was being associated with Keanu and Kelly. So that's why I told Keanu that don't campaign for me because it would just make it worse for me socially. But at the end of the day, when Kelly came off, I was the biggest target left on the block. People loved Will. Like I said, a lot of things happened that could have changed the outcome of it, but hey, things happen that, that's just how the game is, I think there's a lot of great players that could have won this game, that should have won this game, but didn't because of silly things like that. Jag literally got evicted 10-0, like I said before, but he got saved one time, and he ended up winning the whole game. So, yes, Angela, yes, I'm telling you, I don't know. I'm tied before who I want to see leave, Zach or Vince, but I'm like, all I really care about is Keanu stays. I want Keanu to stay. I want him to pick them off one by one. Like, I'm rooting for Keanu. I don't mind the little comp beast, especially if the whole house is like gunning for him. I mean, like, the ability to save yourself is fire. It's something that, so I'm just hoping he can pull it off. I want to say that this blockbuster is a little bit physical, but since the last one was more of a skill based, who knows what this blockbuster is. I have some predictions because I truly believe, for reasons I can't really get into, that blockbuster is a little bit harder than veto and HOHs. I'm not going to get into too much detail why. It's not the competition itself, it's for another factor, but I'm not going to say why. But I would just say blockbuster, there is a factor to it that impacts the players. So anyways, but it's not that different. It's not that big of a deal. Maybe it's just me. Yeah, the blockbusters have been skill-based. Yeah, I could say so. Like, the puzzle one I did, yeah, it was skill-based. But the only problem is, like, if you're quick, like, so, like, I truly believe Amy was great. I think she was great at puzzles. She was the third person to finish her bridge puzzle. And the fact... what do you call it? And then she like did pretty well in the puzzle when I was doing it, but I just think I was a lot faster, especially when it comes to puzzles. You don't want to move one piece at a time. You want to grab as many pieces as you can and push them close. That's why I beat Zach in the bridge, because we're about tied, but he had his pieces in front of the bridge. I had my pieces on the bridge. So it was a lot easier for me to complete my puzzle than he did. So there's like those little strategies that you don't think that are important to the game. You're like, I could do that real quick. It's easy. But those little things give you the slight advantage to finishing quicker. Like if it was just a button, I would have pressed it and I would have won. But no, you had to like check the doors and like there's different strategies for different things. I think those little things kind of give you the edge if you need to. But yeah. But it's getting pretty late, guys. You know I love you guys so freaking much. I love this game. I love talking to it, but it's super late. Not that late, but I just want to talk about the episode. I'll probably come on tomorrow again to talk about the episode. I want to see who's going to come pre-jury. Like, I want to see who's walking out those doors tomorrow. I'm excited. But, for now, I will see you guys later, okay? Freaking love you guys. Bye.